James, it's a real honour and privilege to welcome you to Housing Technology.
You're welcome.
You lead the UK's largest veterans housing charity. I understand you turned it around. What were your main challenges?
Well, I think the first challenge was really to measure where we were in 2013 when I arrived and what the need was, putting the beneficiary at the centre and work out what they needed. And I think the first major thing that I came is that we were pretty much the same way as our founder charity was in 1920. We had one singular offer of rented housing when the world and the aspirations of our population has changed so greatly.
So you implemented a new IT strategy and a core management system?
Well, I introduced an overall strategy, and of course the business revolution part of that strategy and the IT plan that sort of nests within that was very integral to it.
So it was quite interesting the way in which you split off strategy and plan, because a lot of people get these mixed up.
Yeah, they do, and I'm giving sort of one view of it, but I think the language is quite important about it. Plans tend to be quite linear, can be quite simple. Of course, plans can be complex, but strategy is much grander. It's over a long period of time in compared to a plan. And you can have plans nested within strategies, but you never have a strategy nested within a plan. The relationship, is senior to junior.
So has the plan and the strategy that you've put in place, have you actually met that expectation?
Well, it's in way. We're part way down the journey, but we've achieved some significant milestones. We've achieved some change so far, but there's a lot more to come. Rome is not built in a day. The strategy will not be delivered very quickly either. There's a lot of effort got to go into it.
What was your impression of the sector before you were appointed?
Of the sector, in general, I had sort of rudimentary sort of view of it. I recognised from my military responsibilities of some of the difficulties that they face. I lived in a sort of rented home myself, called a military marine quarter, and recognised the difficulties that came and the customer experiences that I had. As the MOD were trying to outsource and get rid of the overheads of an in-house, maintenance property services division. So I sort of had, that understanding of it. But I think my understanding came from, a point of social need, of being in tune with the way the country is, what the needs are of the country, recognising, because I'm just an active participant with society, of rising house prices, changing aspirations of people, disenfranchisement of youngsters to get on housing markets, and therefore the need of social housing that it plays within that environment.
What's the future for Haig Housing Trust?
Growth, hopefully, but not growth for growth's sake. Growth, so that supply can meet demand, that we can meet the demand of our retiring veterans in whatever state they are, some with physical injuries, some with mental injuries that are just so much more harder to diagnose, and others who, for no fault of their own, have just fallen upon some hard times and therefore can't get into the housing market or can't afford to rent, some quite high private rents. We need to grow to meet the supply to demand, but we also need to bring available to them different options to help veterans. Just renting a home, it cannot be the only offer on the market.
Tell us a bit about the product that you provide for those war veterans.
Well, Haig does sort of two main things at the moment, and while I call them main things, one swamps the other in sort of numbers, but in strategic importance, they're about equal. So we've got 1,400 family units, general housing, all over the UK, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and some in the Channel Islands, reflecting really of the recruiting areas where our soldiers, sailors and airmen came from. And we provide rented housing to them at a decent standard for benevolent rents, so significantly below the market rent, and virtually all below the local housing allowance within a prevalent within an area. And we give tenancies now, assured short-hold tenancies, to residents, and we manage the property for them. We require them to maintain their aspects of the tenancy agreement, and we look after them. Then another part of what we do, but as strategically important, is we do bespoke casework with wounded veterans, so people who have had life-changing injuries. Now, they don't necessarily all want our help, but we offer the help when it's there, so we can take on the occupational therapy examinations, design adaptations, do conveyancing, project manage adaptations, and then offer a different equity share to the veteran for them to be able to try and live as normal life as they possibly can. And we buy it in an area where they need it to be, so they can get hold of tertiary support from family and friends. We've done 50 of those, in each one at sort of an average cost of £250,000. The sums soon rattle up.
From your perspective, what would you say is the key to building more homes?
First, it's got to start in demand. Where have they got to be? Don't build homes where they're not needed, and build them where people want to live, so that they can participate in society in the way that they want to, in work, in access to schools and health, but also other social and entertainment activities. It's no good just to say a soldier or a sailor or an airman was recruited from Carlisle, therefore we're going to build a house in Carlisle, in order for that to happen, if he has no aspiration to return to Carlisle because his life choices have led him somewhere else. So that's the first thing. Where is the need? You've got to make the sums work. So getting hold of the land and getting a business plan to design the right home that is supportive of their needs, but it captures the latest technologies that we can. And for example, I'll give to you is the homes that we built in the 1920s. You can't have open space living areas because they're all weight-bearing walls. Mm-hmm. But of course, our aspirations, the way that we live, have changed so greatly. Well, it isn't a leap of imagination to know that they might change again in the next 100 years of the life of that building. So therefore, build flexibility into it and build technology into it, in terms of heat, in terms of communication, in terms of audio visual. That's the next important step. Create communities. Make sure you have mixes. I don't want to build a disabled village. I don't want to build anything for disabled. I don't view them disabled. I account for the disability, but let them interact just as everybody else does, and get that support from other veterans who understand the journeys and difficulties that they face and that they've been in, and then try and integrate into the wider society as well. There is an enormous feeling of support from the British public. So we don't want to build little ghettos. I'm pretty against sort of an idea that well-meaning people have of, let's free up some MOD land and therefore build houses for veterans on it. What? But I don't want an old air base miles away from everywhere else because you'd had to because of jet noise, and stick them in a little ghetto there. They're just isolated. That's not what I want.
Many of our viewers and audience wouldn't have recognised you specifically for one of the particular projects that you did last year, which was poppies around the tower. Now, your ceramic poppy installation around the tower was a great fundraiser. Can you just give us a little bit more information about that and how that all became?
Yes, well, we've got a great supporter in the Tower of London and the Constable of the Tower of London, who came up with the idea with an artist that he met about making some ceramic poppies in order to mark the centenary, or one of the centenaries of the First World War. Of course, running from 1914 to 18, and so 2014 to 2018 there's an opportunity to do it. And so Lord Dannatt, who is a patron of our fundraising campaign, started developing the idea, and then with Historic Royal Palaces got the go-ahead to do it. And as the idea developed, he also invited other charities involved. Of course, the British Legion, who sort of, the poppy is synonymous with the British Legion and Help for Heroes, who do so much and are a strategic partner of ourselves to do it. SAFA, the Soldiers, Sailors, Airmen Families Association, BLESMA, the British Luminous Ex-Service Association, and COBSIO, the Confederation of Military Charities that look after it. So that the idea was laying these 888,246 poppies over that period leading up to Armistice in 2014, and then offering them for sale to the public. But as the visual spectacle grew, as we knew, I planted them personally, some of them, not all of them of course, but some of them myself. You just saw over the summer of 2014 just the spectacle it became and the tourist attraction it became. And then as they went on sale, a slowly building sort of crescendo of demand for these poppies. The Queen, of course, visited, the two royal princes, and the Duchess visited, and of course that just adds that public knowledge to it. And of course they flew off the shelves, as it were, in that way, and raised an incredible amount of money. And each charity sort of given about £1.6 million. Which I've put to immediate good use.
Have you any other further ideas?
Yes, we've got to continue to raise funds. It helps us deliver what we do quicker to fund our ambitions. Of course, we derive a lot of our money from the operating efficiencies that we have of our rental business, and we plough that back immediately. But we want to raise funds as well, because it also connects the public to what we do and lets them see that they can help and support in what we do, and it just adds to the available funds that we've got. So this year our major event is an art exhibition. We're going to ask veterans and serving military to produce pieces of art that we're going to display and sell. And we're also supported by some other well-known artists who have donated pieces of art as well. And so we're going to have this event, invite the public to come in, and they will take something away tangible with them in the same way that there's lots of people got a lovely ceramic poppy. They'll be able to take away a piece of art, but yet support this fantastic charity as they're doing so.
And finally, how have you found, as Chief Exec of Haig Housing Trust, housing technology?
I'm an enthusiast. I'm an enthusiast about most things, but I started off my life in technology, if you like, and I explained to the conference today how, as a young electronic engineer, when actually military communications was the driver of communication development within our country up until a point. And as I said, mobile phones and fibre optics and broadband and satellite were all military communications, which are commonplace now. But now civilian communications drive everything. But it taught me about harnessing technology for good purpose, of what you can do with it. And so some of the limitations that we've got of our homes because of the technology that was available when they were built in 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, well, we haven't got those now. We haven't got the limitations now. And so let's think boldly about how we integrate that technology, but not to be a wonderful show home. This is not just a mental exercise of trying to system engineer solutions solving no particular problem. But it's about harnessing technology to make the lives of our people that we look after, our beneficiaries, so much better. Be that 3-floor lifts, be it the way that we can move walls so that as people become disabled, we can then change configurations of things, how we can control heat and light by tablets, how we can warm up a home of someone who's disabled, who needs a warm home to go to after he's been out, that actually it's warm before he gets there, of how we can ease communication with it, how we can ease entertainment with it. The employment opportunities are almost endless, and as technology is developed, people like me have just got to think about, is that useful? How can we harness it? How can we use it for the benefit of people we look after?
Absolutely. Interestingly, and I'm sort of you've shone a light on something which I think is the next digital strategy or digital wave, which is the Internet of Things, the ability to manage your asset, really, your home, is something that I think may well be something that you might be looking for in the future. It's a way of managing homes, basically.
Yeah. Homes are complex things. We're mixing water and electricity. We're mixing heat with cold, inside and outside, noisy entertainment, with quiet. And in order to integrate all of that carefully, it doesn't happen by accident. And it needs managing, active management while you do it. And if you can make a multifunctional space out of something, so it can be both two things, three things, or even more things, by active use of the technologies that are ready available, then we don't need 4,000 square metre homes. We can build homes that support our families that are smaller. They're cheaper to build, they're cheaper to buy, they're quicker to build, they're more configurable and ready. And so as family sizes change, go up and down, we don't have to move up and then move down in sort of houses and pay the Chancellor stamp duty. We can configure our homes. We can buy homes for life. Homes are strategic decisions for life.
James, just finally, thank you very much for your time and your inspirational talk this morning. The audience found it inspiring, and I certainly did. So thank you very much.
Great pleasure.